Good evening. Welcome to the webinar on DSCSA Compliance Readiness through L4 Solutions organized by Jekson Vision. I am Meghna Dektawala Modi and your host for this webinar. Jekson Vision is a global leader in vision inspection, end-to-end traceability, that is, serialization and aggregation solutions. Along with that, we have an expertise in solutions in OEE and various engagement and loyalty programs throughout supply chain. Jekson Vision is one of the few companies that proudly says that it has both aspects in-house, that is hardware as well as software, thereby giving the strength and the ability to customize solutions to meet all your business needs. Today, we embark upon a journey towards understanding the nuances of ensuring regulatory compliances through L4 solutions, focusing on DSCSA. DSCSA stands as a cornerstone of pharmaceutical regulations in the United States, aiming to enhance drug supply chain security and protect consumers from exposure to counterfeit, stolen, contaminated, or otherwise harmful drugs. At the heart of DSCSA compliances lies L4 solutions, which play a pivotal role in ensuring the pharmaceutical supply chain. Leveraging L4 solutions enables stakeholders to meet stringent requirements mandated by DSCSA, thereby safeguarding the integrity of the drug supply chain. Throughout this webinar, we will explore the intricacies of DSCSA compliance and delve into the significance of L4 solutions in achieving regulatory adherence. Without much ado, I would like to introduce our esteemed panel of experts who bring in a wealth of experience in this field and will be sharing insights, best practices, and practical strategies to navigate the complexities of DSCSA compliance effectively. We have joining us Sunil Saha, Vice President Sales. With over 3 decades of experience spanning within various industries, which include pharmaceuticals, chemicals, food, medical devices, and more, Sunil is a seasoned veteran in solution side automation, inspection, statistical process, and quality control. His insights are invaluable in navigating the complexities of serialization across diverse sectors. We have also joining us Rajan Sundavadra, Enterprise Architect, who brings in a wealth of experience in brand protection and traceability. With over 15 years in this field, Rajan has spearheaded numerous projects driving innovation and efficiency in serialization implementation. Before we dive into the presentation, a quick reminder, we request everyone to stay till the end of the webinar so that you can drop in your questions with us in the Q&A session. Your participation makes this event even more enriching. Alternatively, you can also share if you would like to have a detailed discussion. You may drop in your questions at marketing@Jekson Vision, and we will be happy to reply to all your queries latest by tomorrow evening. Getting on with our webinar, our agenda for today is as follows: the DSCSA and the need for digitization, GS1 standards and traceability, Jekson traceability solution and architecture, followed by the Q&A session. Now, I would like to hand it over to Sunil. Over to you.
Hi, thank you, Meghna, for this briefing about the introduction and the agenda. I welcome all the participants who are present for this webinar. Thank you for taking out time, and we hope we will be able to give you a good insight of the topic. I would at the beginning like to say that I know there are different participants at different stages of their implementation. Some of you would be already implemented and looking forward to more and new information. Some of you are in the implementation stage, and some of you probably yet to start. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to start with some of the basics so that it is in the interest of the participants who are new or who are yet to start, they can relate and connect to the DSCSA regulations better once they know about the serialization. So with this, I would first would like to give you a quick, very short background about Jekson Vision. I think already Meghna has talked about it. We have already a global presence and with a large installation base. This company was founded by Mr. Vishal Shah while he was in his studies in US in Penn State University. And he had a very passionate interest in vision inspection technology, and further that led us to providing solution on the traceability, because track and trace is an application of vision inspection. So with this, we have a large installation base today all across the globe for various applications and solutions, specifically for track and trace, with customers from different countries, and a large amount of used experience use cases we have, which is helping us developing a better solution. Um, just to give you about a global footprint, we started off in US, then since the implementation was happening large in India, so we have built up a larger base in India. We have a manufacturing facility in US and Italy, where we manufacture the equipments, as well as we have also the design teams who are collaborating across India, US, and Italy with one of the key technology area is the AI, which is now the most happening thing when we talk about any kind of human interface with equipments. So this is where we are focusing on, and we are expanding our base slowly all across. Coming to some of the basics, just to tell you that what is serialization, it is basically to it's a process to assigning a unique identity to a product. So it starts with giving a unique identity, and then depending upon how the product is packaged, there are different packaging levels. And the next important part of this, that creating a identity for every packaging level. So serialization is basically giving a unique identity, whether it is the primary product or it is the secondary product or the tertiary product, we providing an identity to that. So here for providing the identity, we follow GS1 standard, and all the pharma regulations are aligned with the GS1. GS1 is a global standard. Basically, it's a non-profit organizations who are setting up standards for barcodes and data exchanges. So here, if you see, when we talk about serialization or traceability, the three important segment here is, the first is identifying this product. It means giving an identity to product. So GS1 has already specified certain processes and methods where the product is giving an identity, the location is given an identity, the packaging is given an identity. And the top blue segment, if you see, it is showing the product flowing from the manufacturing. It is moving from the primary product to different packaging levels, and then moving to the country of where we are shipping, specifically here for US. And again, there are identities managed there, and it goes on till it is induced to a patient. Now, the next part, which is the most important part, is how to capture this. So for capturing, they have specified certain coding methodologies. So generally, this is in a barcode or an EPC or RFID code. Some of them, the most common part here is the GS1 128 code, which is very commonly used, but there are various other codes also which are in practice. And GS1 standard is also followed by all other industry segment who are managing the supply chain. Now, the third part here comes is, once we have identified the product, we have made a provision for capturing the data. The third is now exchanging the data. The purpose of capturing the data or putting a code is so that we can exchange the data. So here is the one of the terminology you get to hear is interoperability. It means it should be interoperable in terms of where DSCSA's new standard, or DSCSA's 27 November 2023 mandate, which mentions that the primary basic packaging level should be interoperable. It means at different locations, starting from your master data to your event data, everything should be exchangeable in electronic format and should be available to the entire supply chain. So that is the basis for the traceability, so that product is identified, the data is capturable, and they are exchangeable on an electronic mode. Most of you would be familiar. Just for the for those who are first time implementing this or going to implement this, for them just to give you an idea, the GTN, as I mentioned, that there is a global trade identification number to identify a particular product. Specifically in US, they already had an NDC code, that is National Drug Code. So to form a GTN, they have already merged the NDC code in the GTN. So GTN already has those NDC items, like NDC has the few digits, like it is generally 10 or 11 digits. So it is like either 442 or 542 like this. So first few digits are indicating the labeler code, that who is the manufacturer. The second one is the product code, which also informs gives a lot of information about the product dosage, strengths, etc. And the last one is the packaging code, which is talking about the what kind of packaging it is, whether it's a bottle or a blister or like that. So this is already embedded in the GTN. So those who hear GTN or NDC should not get confused. So here GTN has already in US has the NDC embedded in that. It means GTIN is formed using the NDC format only. The next important part in the serialization we talk about is giving a unique identity for a particular product. So here DSCSA recommends that there should be a standardized numerical identification. So which is nothing but a random serial number. So when we are combining this GTIN along with this random serial number for a particular product or a pack, that automatically gets a unique identity. It means the product is known, and then you have a very unique identity for a particular pack. And here there are separations between these numbers, and these separations are the application identifier, which like just to for human readable, you can make out like if there is AI 01, it means it's a GT number, it's indicating the GT number. If it is a AI is 21, it is the serial number. Like that, the entire serialized GT is formed. So GTN combined with a serial number becomes an SGTN. Now here is the journey which actually started off from 2013 when this DSCSA regulation was enacted. But the origin of this was an incident which happened, which triggered to make this kind of regulation was a counterfeit drug which was intercepted, which was going from Turkey to US, and where there was a lot of counterfeit products in that, and from there this got triggered. So Turkey was the first country to actually have a very stringent rule, and they formed this, and subsequently US, based on the experiences they had and they intercepted this and they understood, they formed this, and it had been constantly having some introductions, and it started from limited controls to only 3PL. And today, as I talked about the regulation mandate, which was there for 27 November 2023, that talks about this information should be available for the package level and interoperable, electronically interoperable. It means individual package level information should be available in the entire supply chain. So everybody who's handling this product in the supply chain, they should be able to share this data, and the current status of the data should be available. So what actually is DSCSA's key elements? So some of the key elements are, if we categorize them, there are 4 key elements. It starts with the first element is the product identification. The second element is the product tracing. The third element is the verification. And the fourth element is the authorized trading partner. So we will go one by one. It is by and large similar to what I explained, but just for more clarity, I will take you through in individual elements of it. So first element, we talked about product identification. As we talked, it starts from the primary. Suppose it's a bottle, then we are putting a label on the bottle, and that is serialized. Or maybe it is a blister, which is not the sellable pack. It may be a mono carton in which it is packed, or it may be a multi carton in which it is packed. So the serialization starts from that point. And here, one of the important term which you hear is the aggregation. Aggregation is very important to maintain this traceability. Specifically, I would say this is very, very important for the supply chain, because when there are moving from the bottles to the pallet, there are so many packagings. If there is no aggregation, it will be very tedious for the supply chain to manage data or exchange data or handle them. So aggregation becomes one of the important part. What is aggregation? Is basically creating a relationship between each level of the packaging. So once you have a bottle which goes into a bundle, or it goes, so you scan the bottle code, and then a label is generated for the bundle. So that is how the continuity is maintained. So it goes up to the pallet. The second most important part is the product tracing. Here in the product tracing, some of the important parts of the product tracing is the TI and TS information, that is transaction information and transaction statements. What all it has in the TI and TS is provided on the screen. As you see, it starts with very basic information of the proprietorship of the who owns this product, to whom he is sending it, what is the dose form, what container size it is, the addresses whom from where it is manufactured, the address where it is going to be delivered. So all this information needs to be available or transferred from the manufacturing to at different levels to the common system on the cloud. So to do that, if you see here on the right hand side of it, we have talked about the EPCIs. EPCIs is a particular file format. I will show you one of the slide to explain you what is EPCIs. This may be very basics, but we'll quickly run through this. So different informations are available at different areas of the EPCIs, like the header talks about some information related to the transaction, NDC code, the drug name. Similarly, the event information is in the EPCI's shipping event information related to the ownership is captured. Like that, the aggregation informations are also captured at a different level. So those who had not been doing it, for them, it would be useful to know it is electronic product information services, where the GS1 specifies how to transfer this data, the format given, and what is covered in this format is what, when, where, and why. It means when we talk about the information that what is happening to the product, an example would be like you have scanned the particular product SKU. So this event is captured. So where it has happened, that event is captured, and that event is to be shared. Then when it happened, the time and the event dates are captured. Why, like whatever reason the action was performed with the product, that gets captured here. And this is what the EPCI's file, which is shared in the common cloud and which is available to, as we mentioned time and again, the interoperable. It means there is a information available to everybody in the supply chain who can update that information based on what action they did. So this keeps getting updated, and it tells you the it gives you the complete trace of the product, like what happened and why it was scanned, where is what scanned, what next action was done on that, what would be, where it will be found next. So with this, this was the tracing part of it. The next part comes is the verification part. With me, my next speaker is Rajan. I would request Rajan you to take over from here to talk about the verification part of the DSCSA element. Over to you, Rajan.
Thank you very much, Sunil, for setting up the base context for an audience to understand what are the key elements for the DSCSA. If you closely look at the problem statement, why the DSCSA regulations formed, I've tried to find out a couple of statistics on the screen. If you look at the total units sellable, right, it's a huge number, out of which 2 to 3% are sellable returns, right? If you drill down to the lower level, sometimes there is up to 5,000 units per day would be, the sellable returns, depending upon the size of the company or the distributor you can look at. And the other side of the fact, if you look at, from the global market perspective, 32 billion, it's a huge number, right? That's, was our forecast in 2020, but it's been more now, is something a damage, or probably I would say the counterfeiters are earning because of the fake medicine or the substandard medicine, right? It's a huge number if you look at that. And then this is the reason why the DSCS has formed a decentralized system. If you just go to the next slide. So basically DSCS says two important terminologies which allows user to do sellable returns, which is supposed to be due in November 2023. That is VRS, which stands for Verification Router Services, and the LD, right? That's a lookup directory. Now, if you closely look into this, right, lookup directory, you can visualize some sort of, the telephone directories where you can identify the specific name and see how you can connect them, right? Similarly, the lookup directory principles are implemented for the DSCSA. It's a decentralized mechanism where there would be lots of partners having lookup directories and an ownership. The VRS would be closely connected with the lookup directories. So how would the sellable return verification works? So what do you need? A partner who want to verify the sellable returns. Or there would be a distributor's dispenser who would like to initiate those requests. Those partners are called as a requester from the VRS perspective. The partner needs to have a lookup directory, and then which basically includes the master data of product. So based on the product identity and the ownership, the lookup directory will allow them to connect with the respective VRS, and that's how the request will route. And on the other side, what is the manufacturer's or the repackager's responsibilities? They would act as a responder. They would have to give their access to the informations for the manufacturing which has been produced through the VRS, and that will be available to requests raised by any requesters. Now, in order to do that, there are two pieces very much important: whether the requests coming from the requesters, are those the genuine requesters, or those are the legitimate requests, right? So probably if you can look at closely, and we go to the next slide, please. Right? How does the verification router services work? So the manufacturers, wholesalers, dispensers, right? Everybody is exchanging the data in form of electronic exchange, right? And should I just go back to the previous slide? And there would be an ecosystem where there would be lots of VRS, would be working in the ecosystem. All the VRSs are in sync in form of a lookup directory synchronization, right? It's a decentralized, like I explained before. And when any request appears, that would first check the lookup directory to see which VRS providers or which endpoint the request will route to. And the ecosystem will identify the respective VRS owner's infrastructure. The request will go there, and the responder would have to revert back to those informations, and almost in real time. So that's what the ecosystem probably will look like from requester and the responder standpoint. Next slide, please. Now, the last point, which I've tried to explain, the authenticity. Are the trading partner genuine? Are that allowed to do that verification? So how would that work? Right? Probably we'll try to have a look that portion of the information. That basically stands for an authorized trading partner. What does that mean? It's basically a digital wallet. Will be given to each and every partner with the digital credential services, so that one has to verify the specific drug or a specific piece of information, right? They would also have to pass on those ATP credentials, and using the ecosystem infrastructure, that credentials will be verified first. And if the information is correct from a digital credential service perspective, only then the the request and response would be exchanged between the multiple VRS solution providers. If you want to see closely, how would it look like? So if you go to the next slide for me, please. Right? How does it works? Right? So there is a centralized an authority, we call it as a VCI, verifiable credential issuer. Each and every partners who had to act as a requester or the responder needs to have credentials, digital credentials attached to it. We call it as a digital wallet. It's a blockchain-based architecture which is centralized. So if you're looking on the screen, the wholesaler or the distributor who wanted to verify any the serial numbers from sellable returns perspective, when they initiate a request of product identification, first and foremost, their digital identity would be verified through the wallet providers. These wallet providers are also distributed into the system, but are closely working with the VRS and the lookup directory service providers. Once that identity has been checked through the wallet providers, then only the request would reach to the respective manufacturer's VRS solution, And when the manufacturers give the response, again, they would attach their own informations of digital credentials so that the requester can also identify that the manufacturer which is giving a response are the genuine manufacturers, right? So this is what an example you can visualize at the high level how the digital credentials would work. We call it as a ATP. Next slide, please. Now, how we can help you to achieve the DSCSA as a compliance, right? So probably I would ask answer that question with the help of the solution architecture. Sunil, go to the next slide. So how we could help you out? We do have a full-fledged solutions from the production shop floor till the VRS. We have an in-house team who develop the vision inspection system, the different solutions which allows you to meet your production needs for the USA market. Your lines probably would be a semi-automatic, fully automatic, right? We do have a more than 25 range of product lines available from where you can choose from. Everything is in-house. So if you're looking for some retrofitted from the production line perspective, we would be happy to assist you there. From the site level perspective, we have a retrack system. You can visualize that as a full-fledged serialization system would be responsible within the manufacturing locations, which allows you to meet all of your day-to-day production needs, right? You probably may supplying to the US market or any market across the globe. This system has a capabilities which manages your master data, which manages your print layout as a master data, that also pulls the number from the respective corporate CL number manager, right? And that would allow you to implement the serialization and the aggregation. Once the serialization and the aggregation has been placed, and you would like to push that particular consignment to the market, those will be synced to the corporate level 4. We have a range of solutions at the level 4. Resource is the application name. It has a module which you can leverage. We call it as a VRS module with the lookup directories. Everything is owned by Jekson, right? And it has a connectivity options with all the VRS providers across the globe so that the interoperabilities for the data exchange would be seamless. It also has a capability to communicate with your corporate ERPs for exchanging the master data and the transaction data, just in case if you would like to leverage those communications as well, right? So this is what the full-fledged in-house solutions, starting from production shop floor equipments to the compliance solutions. We would be able to assist you one-stop goal for all of your requests. Next slide, please. Right. What is our maturity level from DSCSA perspective? We have been there in the industries working with the HDA's pilot and all the industries VRS providers, the digital wallet providers, and the credential issuers. We have tested our solutions fully working with the revision 1.2 and revision 1.3. It's there connected in the test environment as well as the production environment with all industry leaders, VRS providers. And you can also choose the wallet credentials, authorized by the HDA, which you can choose from. So let's just go to the next. So what you will get out of it, right? You will get a fully tested a system with the VRS capabilities according to the HDA specifications. You have an already connected system which you can visualize from connections with all the VRS providers out there. And this is fully integrated with all the digital wallet providers which is authorized, right? So we have those modules available working in the quality and the production well, right? What you just need to do is just onboard the production master and with the digital credentials, you are up and ready to implement the DSCSA 2023 requirements for the sellable returns. Next slide. At the same time, just to give a high-level picture on top of the DSCSA, the resource level 4, right, will communicate and has the ability of seamless communication with all your supply chain partners, recording those electronic transactions, and based on the master data, it will allow you to meet all your compliance reporting. We try to put certain important compliances which is live and already validated, which you can choose from. These are some of the examples. India compliances, Bahrain compliances, SFDA compliances, Uzbekistan, European Union, Russia, UAE, Brazil, DSCSA, we just walked through, China regulations. And then there are also so many other countries where we are working with, right, for the reporting And what you could do is you can, reach out to us, and this will be a single solution you would be looking at if you are, supporting your drugs to the different markets where the compliance reporting has the necessity. Next slide, please. With the help of resource, like I said, we would be able to connect with all the supply chain partners seamlessly, right? We would be able to give you a complete visibilities of an inventory. What is going out of your manufacturing locations, or what is being sent out of your warehouses to the distributors or the wholesalers or the retailers, right? So what is the current stock available to those supply chain different locations, or what is the existing stock available? Say, for example, manufacturers has produced 10,000 pack, out of which 6,000 they're sending to warehouse 1, 1,000 to warehouse 2, and then 3,000 to warehouse 3, out of which warehouse is sending 5,000 to the further downstream partners, right? So the system will record all those outbound transactions, and then that will also give you a digital dashboard so that you can visualize the inventories for inward, outwards, as well as the stocks and each and every part. But this is not the it. Sometimes it is important to keep a close eye on the suppliers who are giving the raw materials to it. We do have an additional module which you can leverage to connect with your raw material suppliers, right? So you can have a full-fledged traceabilities starting from raw material to the end level of the supply chain. Next slide, please. How do you implement, right? Of course, first and foremost, implement on the production shop floor by putting the serialization and aggregation in place within the manufacturing locations. Have the connectivity with your supply chain partners, and test your system in order to verify that your system and your partner system are interoperable. It is able to communicate the data effectively, and then it is working as per expectation. So that is what you should be looking at from implementation perspective. Next slide. Like I said, this is how you can visualize your production shop floor, right? This is just one of the example which we explained. Or we probably having a labeling machine, we can retrofit on the labeling machine. We can give you a full-fledged vision inspection system to check the 360s of the bottle. You may be having an automatic case picker or the palletizers, which is fully automation. We can give the solutions for that. If not, you need a semi-automatic systems, let's say bulk 2D here on the screen, or even in the manual packing stations, right? We do have a range of solutions you can leverage and can implement on the production shop floor. Next slide. Now, after talking what the DSCSA requirement from syllabus registrar's perspective, there are a few exceptions, which are very much important to know, and then how one can handle it, right? So these exceptions are classified into 5 high-level categories. Let's say you have some data issues. The data which you are sharing electronically are not precise. You send the data, right? But okay, you send the product physically, but you do not be able to send, the data. The receiver and they do not identify the data, or the system cannot give an access of those data. Sometimes the data receives, but there would no physical product flows. That's for the category 3. Probably the packaging and the labeling, right, is not aligned according to the electronic data. That's what the category number 4. And let's say a shipment received to the partners, but somehow some part of the shipment is stolen, or let's say the partner do not want to accept the shipment, but they want to return it for certain reason, right? So these are the 5 categories where you can bifurcate the exception with. If you just take a closer look, how would those exceptions can be handled from DSCSA's perspective, right? Sunil, just so when there will be a data issues, say for instance, the wholesaler send the data, but the file which is supposed to be received are having incorrect, the file format, right? So what would be the root cause? The root cause would be in incorrect format. And in order to mitigate that root cause, right, what you have to do is the manufacturer has to correct the file, and they have to resend the file immediately to the respective partners so that the transaction can be completed. Next scenario, Sunil. The other scenarios, that probably would look at from master data perspective. Say, for instance, the location masters which you are exchanging, right, does not available at your partner system. So what one has to do is to mitigate that. They have to share all of those location masters, the precise GLN, SGLN, or the global company prefixes, which is missing. Or if you look at the scenario 3, the GTIN probably is not updated, right, from the master data perspective. Those informations you can share well in advance, right, before your physical consignment reaches. And once those information and the master data are set, you can again resend the electronic transactions to overcome those issues, right? So these are the certain ideas you can overcome the master data. Probably scenario number 4, the distributor. 1 second, Sunil. Scenario 4, distributor received the data, but there is a misalignment between the data received and the lot number and the expiry encoded successfully, right? So probably the root cause, what you could think of is the informations which is encoded within the 2D barcode and the lot informations which has been exchanged, right? Those are not aligned. And in order to mitigate those issues, such kind of issues, the manufacturer can initiate an internal investigation and share the dispositioning values of the product further to the distributors to overcome that. Next slide. These are the use case number 2. There are physical products, but no data. If you look at closely, manufacturer is sending the EPCS for the shipment, but because of the communication, the file did not receive to the recipient end, right? And root cause probably could be EPCS file from the shipment perspective. Distributor system was not up, say for instance, one of the example, or there is no connectivity, or somehow they're not able to process those data, right? So the manufacturers may investigate those root causes, and if there is any failure in order to receive those data at the recipient end, they can resend those EPCS transactions to successfully receive the data and the receiver's end, right? The another use case you can think of, the wholesaler or the distributor receive a product, but the CL number does not found into the respective electronic files, right? And probably there also would be a missing link with delivery numbers, or let's say the transactions against which this data has been shared. Probable root cause you can think of, the product which is received is not associated with any transactions, let's say purchase order or the invoice number, right? And within the EPSS file which has been shared. And as a part of corrective action, what you can think of, the manufacturer would confirm the data which has been shared to the partner having precise transaction attached to it to commit back the next stage. Third use case, delivery was made to the wrong wholesaler distributor. This is something you can think of, again, the wrong master data perspective. Basically, the shipment probably would get rejected from the recipient endpoint. And in order to overcome that, the manufacturer will work with the logistic providers, because that's where those wrong shipment is being delivered, to reroute the shipment to the correct wholesalers. Right. So these are the couple of scenarios where you can think of how the exception can be managed, where there is a product, but there are no electronics data. And probably we will share you this slide deck with you to go through all those transactions in details. So we'll go back to the next slide, please. This is scenario number 5. Yeah, CL number is not found with the wholesaler, and they're trying to pick, pack, and shipment. Again, this is one of the use case you can think of if the product was purchased before November 27, 2023, and it does not need to handle from exception handling perspective, right? From the lot level traceabilities, manufacturer do not have to provide those serialized data. However, if the product was not part of the transitional inventories, right, and that was purchased before November 27, the distributor can need to quarantine those products, right? And manufacturer has to send those respective information to the distributors to take it further. So that's how the TI and the TS would come to the picture, where manufacturer will do the internal investigations and send those electronics data to take it further, right? Next slide. I think, Sunil, with the time-bound perspective, we would have to share this deck with the audiences, or probably will not be able to attach the Q&A. This is the third case. Data is available, but there are no products. Sunil, if you can jump to the next slide, we will just cover it on the high level. One more. Probably there are issues with the packaging and the labeling perspective. right? This is, the fourth use case, different use case you can think of. And there would be one more use case at the last, Sunil, last exception handling. One more, yes. So yeah, just go back a slide, please. Yeah. So distribution, probably the information is not available in sense of recall, suspect, or the legitimate, right? How one can do it. If let's say a wholesaler discover a serial number or the lot is unavailable for distribution for any reasons, right? Probably suspected, illegitimate, or the recalls, they can quarantine the product and the respective process they can follow. In the event of suspect illegitimate product, right, the distributor can notify the manufacturers with the standard DSCSA processes and the business practice, and according to that, manufacturer can take the corrective actions with the FDA guidances, and these guidances documents are available on the HDA website, but we'll be also sending across to all our the participants so they can go through all those exception handling from thereafter. With that being said, Sunil, I'll hand it over to you so you can walk through the advantages, and then we'll quickly go through a Q&A because I see a lots of question and the raise hand. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Rajan. And as expected, this subject I was expecting there are a lot of different silos where there would be need for more detailing. So I would just, before I get into the next topic, I would like to say that based on your questions or based on your area of interest, we can also add it in our next sessions. But here I would like to say this subject is quite vast, so there will be areas which you need more deep dives. Please do give us feedback so that we can add it in our next this thing. So here I would talk about, as Rajan explained you, what is the DSCSA requirement and how our solution can meet that. So I would just like to summarize it with the advantages what we have with our resource solution. The number one is that it is helping you ensuring the product visibility, that is through and through in the supply chain. You know where the product is and what is the next action you need to do, whether there is any challenges. So everything is available in terms of the product visibility when you have distributed the product. So the manufacturer will know everything from that, as well as the supply chain team will also know that. Next advantage is that you have a better control over the product, specifically highlighting that for whatever reason, if the product needs to be reworked or recalled, with our solution, it will be more efficient, and it will also give the entire supply chain, including the one who's consuming it, the patient, the confidence to know that these things can be controlled. Something can always go wrong. It may not be the process of identifying the product or process of labeling it or process of tracing it. It could be something with the product as well, or it for any whatever reasons. But when you have a system which helps you efficiently handling it, it gives a tremendous confidence and it builds your brand image better. So the next advantage automatically comes is the supply chain tackling, that various issues in the supply chain what you face, whether it is related to deactivation of a challenged product, that is easily doable, and you can do the damage control much better and much faster and much efficiently with our solution, because it is able to exchange information and data. And as the architecture Rajan shows that we, including the VRS, we are able to interface with various parties. So that makes it very user friendly and flexible when you are wanting to implement such solution, or already you are in the way and you wanted to transit to somebody else. So that is possible. So the last and the most important part is, the second last, I would say the most important part is that you are able to control the counterfeit. So here I would not limit it to the solution only to comply to DSCSA, even if our solution is capable of ensuring that even if it is a domestic product in India and you want to protect your brand and the product and to ensure that you're able to fight against the counterfeit, we can offer you multiple solutions which ensures that it is easily your consumers are able to find out that whether the product is genuine or not. And in the entire process, you can gain your market shares. Many customers, they feel the market is not expanded as fast as when they actually implemented such solution. their market share increased. Basically, they grabbed onto the counterfeit, which they could stop. So once you have such systems, the most important part which benefits you as a brand and gives also your customer confidence is the image of the brand. They have tremendous confidence that yes, it is traceable, it is trackable, it is verifiable. So your brand image improves here. So with this, I would like to summarize that these are the 5 advantages when you go with our solution. And this, I would like to thank all of you for being here. And I would request from here, Meghna, to please take over and open up for the question answer session.
We have the first question. Suppose we have LSAL for distributor A, and by mistake, we post the batch by selecting distributor B. In this scenario, what will be the impact?
Meghna, is that question into a chat or the Q&A session?
In the Q&A section.
Wait 1 second.
You want me to read it out again?
Yes, ma'am, please.
All right. Suppose we have LSAL for distributor A, and by mistake, we post the batch by selecting distributor B. In this scenario, what will be the impact?
I believe in that case, the distributor B system would not be able to accept the electronic transactions because the GLN, which is there in the EPCS file, would not belong to distributor B, and that would represent distributor A. So first and foremost, I could think a use case where the distributor B would not be able to take the ownership of those transactions because of the GLN mismatch, and that probably would lead to a return, or I would say the recall from manufacturing perspective for the correct deliveries.
All right. Thank you, Rajan.
And
I'm asking the second question.
This will also require the distributor to notify in any situation when they are not able to accept the files. First thing they have to do is to notify through email, so that the manufacturer gets to know that it needs to be something went wrong. So.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Sunil. I'm going to ask the second question that is there. This is something I'm sure you all can answer very easily. Could you just shed some light on the recent changes in the DSCSA guidelines?
Answered it, but there were 2 important informations industry should be knowing. The first is the stabilization period. This DSCSA requirement was due by November 2023, but that has been extended by 1 year. The HDA pronounced that as a stabilization period. That does not mean that the deadline has been extended by 1 more year, but this has been extended by HDA so that the manufacturing companies and the other supply chain partners can validate their ecosystems to meet the VRS specifications and the lookup directory specifications, right? So I think it's a right time to gear up and implement and probably analyze your infrastructure, your service providers, whether their systems are capable enough to communicate with the outside world as per the SDA specifications. If not, you should start implementing it. But this is not an extension of the deadline. It's the stabilization period, which allows you to validate and benchmark your infrastructure and the ecosystem. The second point I would like to highlight the recent change, or I would say not recent, it's long back, but the digital credentials, or I would say the wallet inclusion to verify the identity of each and every suppliers. Initially, it was not there, and looking at the high volume of sellable returns, the information exchange across the VRS was within less than 1 second. But after having a wallet in place, which is an additional hope of identifying the requester and the responder, right? That has some impact on these transactions. And what industry is working right now, and why this stabilization period comes, is because all the service providers are benchmarking those large number of volumes of sellable return and benchmark their infrastructure to see still the less than seconds these authentication can be verified, and the transaction speed and the data exchange rate would not decrease. So this is what the current process the industry, the leaders and the HDA pilots are working with. Those are the two main change I would say I have seen in the last 1 year as a part of HDA pilot.
All right, thank you, Rajan. Sunil, is there anything you were adding on to that?
No, I think that's like you said that it's these are the more, I think some of the terminologies we already talked about, that the focus is on exchange of the data, is availability, and that's where I would say that it covers everything.
Okay, I have one more question. This was put in the chat. Is the Jekson L4 solution capable for data handshake?
Yes, I think I have one slide on that part as well from the official HDS website. We are part of this pilot from almost last 2.5 years. We are working with the industries, the leaders to define the specifications. Jekson Vision, VRS, and the lookup directory services are tested with each and every VRS providers across the globe, and it's already live from April onwards, right? So our lookup directories and the VRS is already connected with the production lookup directories as well as the VRS providers. So yes, our solutions has full-fledged capabilities to exchange the data and the interoperabilities across the VRS providers in the industries.
All right. The next question, Rajan and Sunil, we have is, what is the difference between the real commissioning data and consolidated data?
Sunil, you may want to answer that question.
Yeah, Rajan, maybe you can do this. Rajan, maybe you can answer this question in more detail.
So see, when you say a commissioning data, which means you are recording an event on the production shop floor when where production is happening, where it is happening, and against which packaging lot it is happening. When I say consolidating the data, which means in order to exchange the data with any outside world, I will consolidate all the business transactions again which this event has been prepared, where those prepared, what are the parties involved, right? So from which physical locations to which other physical locations you are sending your data to, right? So consolidating data means combining all those informations into one precise format. We explain that in EPCIs, and you send out those informations to your partner. So that's probably, I would say, the basic difference between commissioning data and the consolidating the data. Pradeep, am I answering your question on the point?
I don't think he would be able to answer.
Okay.
We can connect with Pradeep offline as well if there are any more queries, or we can help.
I see a new question. Will you be able to share this slide deck? Yes, of course. We will be sending you this slide deck over an email. You will have it on your emails, very soon.
There is one that got missed out. It's right in the beginning. What is OCI role? What does it stand for?
Okay. OCI, I probably answered that already in a chat, but it's basically responsible for defining open standards, right? What HDA always intend to implement, that the standard has to be open. There should not be any proprietary standards. So OCI is basically works hand in hand with HDA and the PDG, and they would be responsible for defining an open credentials with the collaboration in the industry's effort, specifically for the pharmaceutical industries, so that the digital credentials and the identity can be implemented. So OCI is basically the one who are responsible for defining those digital credentials and how the ecosystem would work in order to identify the authenticity. So that's what the main role of OCI.
All right, thanks, Rajan. There's one more question that came in the chat. I'm just reading it aloud for you. What are the major challenges one foresees when implementing an L4 solution?
Oh.
Rajan, do you want me to say that again?
Sunil
is taking it. Yeah.
What are the major challenges? Go ahead.
Okay, Rajan, please go ahead.
No, I'm reading it. Please go ahead. I'm reading it. Few other points as well.
Okay, as such, there is no major challenges unless you are migrating from already one. So I won't say it's a major challenges. If you are first time implementing an L4 solution, what you need is there are actually a lot of advantages what Jekson L4 has, which I think Rajan just broadly covered some of this. we have a single tenant, so a lot of things we can customize for individual customers. It means when I work on my L4 solution, it is not a common platform for all other clients and customers. It is dedicatedly for you. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. So coming back to the challenges part, the challenges is only when you are thinking about, some kind of you already are working with somebody and you want to switch. So there may be a few things which you may be feeling it's a challenge, that where I have an overlapping period when I continue working with them. My data in terms of the custody of the data is with one of the other provider, and so when I migrate, how do I handle that? So these are the points which we have a solution to do that. We can accept data and in the formats which is comfortable to your current partner, and we can take it forward from there. So most of the time, I would say this is my experience when I interact with customers, see that they find this as a one of the important challenge, that this would be a roadblock, and probably they have to stick to the one they're working with and they cannot move forward. So this is from in terms of when you are actually switching. But otherwise, I don't see because any major challenge, because this infrastructure is managed by Jekson Vision. What you only need is to tell us which all regulation you want to follow, and we have a modular thing. Rather, I would say when you are looking at implementing Jekson L4, we have a scalable solution. So you don't have to really go with the huge infrastructure in the beginning. You can scale it up and we have solutions module like that. So other than that, I don't see, Rajan, any really challenge in implementing that L4 solution. It is only
Well,
that you need to know what should be the different criteria you should choose when you are implementing L4 solution. Yeah, from choosing point of view, I think there are some points which is very important. That is your partner having this flexibility? Do they have the infrastructure to manage it? Are they able to manage multiple such things? Are they able to help you with the migration? So these are the things which you need to see. And also one of the important thing, as I said, that some of them you would be saying that I have already I'm also an MH holder. I'm also a CMO. I have my own product as well as I have my I'm acting as a CMO. So there I'm directly connecting to the L4 of my MH to my L3. So there I would say this is where one of the important part which comes up is that your L4 partner should be able to offer you something where he does the coordination part of it. So every time your site level server is not engaged in connecting a new partner. So these flexibilities are some of the criteria you should look for when you are planning to implement an L4. Are they ready to do this coordination? Is there anything which is exponentially high in terms of my management and not initial investment? So these part are very important when you are actually trying to implement an L4. From the technical point of view, I would request Rajan if you would like to throw some light on what could be
you
possible
already
challenges.
answered it, but to make it crisp based on the time already we have, your L4 partner from challenge perspective, the manufacturer needs to evaluate whether they are capable enough to interoperability with the industries. When I say industries, all the level 5 regulations out there, as well as your the partners where you are exchanging your data electronically. So first and foremost, you have to do the evaluations in form of interoperability, which should be seamless. Second, from an infra perspective, they should be scalable enough. It should not be the case that they would work 2 years as is, but after 2 years they would be having difficulties from scalability perspective on infra side, and that should be flexible enough from a future perspective so that it can be aligned with your internal processes. So I think these are the 3 points one should always keep in mind while evaluation of the L4 partners. Yeah. Otherwise, anyways, that system will go through a validation and implementation challenges, or probably the discrepancies can be captured and can be overcome very easily.
There is a question by Mr. Fahad, which Rajan has already responded that he will reach out to him. So I'm not taking that up here. There was one in the chat, which I've only copy pasted here. It says that if found destroyed serial number in the market, is there any chance to change it to active?
From HDA exception management perspective, and I think because of the time we could not go through those use cases, I probably will send you those HDA documents which explain how to manage these exception use cases. Team, right? When we send you a deck, we will also send you those HDA specifications, which will give you a complete idea how to manage those. But if any serial number which is destroyed, which receive in the market, right? Can we change it to active? No. That's not the right practice from HDS standpoint. That would lead to an investigation, and one has to carry it out. I mean, manufacturer has to carry it out why that happened and then take the respective corrective actions, or they can quarantine that particular batch. But no, I think they cannot change it to active. Yeah.
All right. I think if there are more questions, we can take that up later. As we're almost exceeding our time. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank Sunil and Rajan for providing us with a detailed understanding of DSCSA compliance requirements and its latest updates, along with the importance of choosing the right L4L5 solution provider. I hope everyone in the audience has now a much better understanding post this session about the feasibility of changing L4 provider along with its benefits and integrating L3, L4 serialization system with Jekson's L4, L5 network. We would be happy to answer any more questions offline. Do feel free to write to us at marketing@JeksonVision for more information. We thank each and every one of you for taking out the time and joining us at this webinar. Do stay tuned for future webinars from Jekson Vision. We look forward to having you join us there as well. Till then, have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, all the participants.